Welcome, O listener, to another episode of Spam, Spam, Spam Humbug. And my gosh, does it feel good to say those words again. You may have noticed that the podcast, the numbered episodes of the podcast, largely disappeared from about late 2021 until now. Here we are in May of 2022. And I won't bore you with the details of why that is, but it has been far too long since we recorded a actual numbered episode of the podcast, a group discussion. I've been coasting by on Through the Moongate episodes, and I hope you've all been enjoying those. I'm certainly happy to continue recording those, but taking a little break to actually have another one of these group discussions. And oh my gosh, what a discussion. Clearly, I was not the only one who was both missing these chats and chomping at the bit to get back into them. And hopefully we are able to maintain a fairly regular schedule of doing so going forward. It would be almost impossible to summarize the ways that the conversation ranged over the course of the recording session. Nearly 2 hours of conversation, although I think I've condensed it down a little bit for this episode. And yes, we talked about just everything and the kitchen sink. Because, why stick to one topic when you can talk about 50? Really. So good to get back together with familiar voices, and even some voices we haven't heard in a while. A couple of surprises coming at you over the course of the episode in terms of who joins. So, I do hope you enjoy. And I'm, again, so glad to be back recording these episodes, these group chats, and I apologize for the too long gap in actually setting up such recordings. Oh, and also, we welcome, at long last, 2 new sponsors on Patreon, Andrew Gall and Winfield Paxler. So thank you to both for what is hopefully their ongoing support of the podcast and the Codex. And as always, this episode of Spam, Spam, Spam Humbug is brought to you by our Patreon backers. Thank you to everyone who supports the podcast and the Codex by that means. And as always, a hearty thank you to our co-producers, Seth, Golden Flame, Dominic, Violation, Helgruff, Gronk, Pascal, Thor1, and now, Winfield. Okay, I think I've talked up the show enough. Really, really great episode, great discussion, lots of laughter, some serious moments. I'm going to get out of the way. You listen and enjoy. Works better if I turn off push to talk.
There we go.
You can't see it, but I'm giving you the golf clap, Kenneth.
I am going to completely judge you, but that's okay.
At least you have a keyboard to push to talk on.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
Okay, that's a low blow, man, but bravo.
Sorry.
Don't apologize.
I know you are. I apologize.
Don't apologize.
I think the last time I used Discord for anything was back in October for the Scouting Jamboree on the Air, Jamboree on the Internet. And of course, all the servers for that enforce push to talk.
I'm just not a fan of it, but then I also have one of those stream decks where I just hit a button and boom, I'm muted everywhere. It's really nice.
So I see Linguistic Dragon as being muted, so I guess, dude, check your audio. There's unmuted. But check your audio settings. See if you're not defaulted to push to talk. I think everybody should be able to just go to voice activity.
I am on voice activity.
Yeah.
I'm on voice activity, but my microphone can be turned off. I can pull it up and down.
Yeah.
I use voice activated because I'm on my phone and I don't know how to do push to talk on a phone.
I think it gives you a button in the Discord app to actually press. But if you leave the Discord app, then you're kind of on your own. So good luck with that. But So, Linguistic, maybe check your settings and see if you're locked on push to talk. And then if so, you should be able to flip off of that. Or just figure out what your keybind is for push to talk and push the keybind.
Check the input.
Thought I saw something there for a second.
Set to input.
I did some looking, and to my great shame and embarrassment, our last actual recording would have been in advance of September 10th, 2021. So that's embarrassing.
Oof, time has flown.
I can't say too much about Square Enix, though, about the ethnocentrism, because let's be honest, Western gamers can be huge raging dicks.
Sure. But I mean, like, I think there is something like there's
very much sort of a self-protectionism when it comes to Japanese. Like, they don't even like foreigners moving there for work.
That, but it's
they, make it difficult for you to find a place to live, even if it's just renting a place and all that. Like, there's plenty of foreigners that are like, man, we put up with more shit here than we do back where we, are originally from. It's like, yeah.
Oh, believe me, I know. In one of my Dungeons and Dragons groups, one of the people there is a career English teacher in Japan, and he's talked about a lot of what he's went through. But one of the things I mentioned is you've played 14, Golem. Do you remember the letter from the producer when he was, when Frontline first came out, talking about Naoki or talking about Yoshi's reactions to the harassment that was going on in game about saying things that would no longer be tolerated? And it was cheering after somebody dies. Setting off fireworks off of somebody's corpse.
Yeah, the whole PvP thing, they want to try to make it less toxic. And like, okay, part of it is, I can understand people like spamming it and like trolling. They want to avoid that. But at the same time, it's like, you got to allow a little bit of cheekiness.
I'm thinking, have you watched WoW people in arenas? This is what they do. Have you seen Overwatch players?
People have been cheeky. People are cheeky in video games, even outside of WoW in PvP. It's normal. And it's not just Americans. It's Koreans. It's, you name it.
Oh, it happens in every competitive game.
I try to
soccer, football, everything.
In soccer, oh good lord, the amount of smack talk from other countries during the World Cup to other teams. Holy cow.
I swear that's a sport in and of itself.
There you are.
I'm here!
Yay!
I have Brazilian friends. I know about soccer and smack talk.
Honestly, it's fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But at the same time, refs, when you start to get to a certain point, the refs are going to be like, okay, settle down now, okay? Even the refs are like, yeah, there's technically, a rule in many leagues where, you try to discourage it, but they so long as it's, friendly enough banter, even if it's smack talk, they're just like, we're going to let it go.
I mean, I will freely admit, I have teabagged a person in Halo, but it was a person I knew personally, a friend of mine, and they knew it was me, and I was just screwing with them. So I can't really judge, but
yeah, no, most people kind of looked at that post and was like, okay, people are getting a little too sensitive. And then at the same time, it's like, yeah, well, it is what it is.
The issue is they are playing a different game. I mean, I don't mean that they are playing using a different client or anything. It's in their head, they are playing a different game. And the other person may be disrupting them or something. And that's a problem. That's a design problem or some sort of related thing.
It's not uncommon. I mean, take a look for comparison to Western Dark Souls fans versus Japanese Dark Souls fans. I mean, our raging get good trolling and hacking versus their honorable invasions and one-on-one combats. And again, I'm not perfect. I can't judge.
See, and this is why I just try and avoid games like that.
Yeah, you and me both.
I mean, I was reading something today in like Forbes about how Elden Ring apparently has just like this amazing, like just the way the open world in it has been crafted is apparently just like amazing. And I mean, to hear or to read the descriptions that the guy at Forbes was giving of like, what the world is comprised of, it does sound like absolutely awesome. And I would love to see, someone take cues from that world design to, sort of craft like a Well, I mean, okay, this is an Ultima podcast, ultimately. So, craft a new Ultima, right? Which is like, set in a Britannia that's far, far, far post-Lord British. And so, whatever the overworld is like now, like underneath it, you have the, before you even get to the dungeons or the underworld, you have maybe this layer of ruined, lost cities underneath current cities. And it's like, oh, here's
I
old
don't think they're going
sewers
to
beneath
get the
that.
clue.
No, of course not. They won't. But, I mean,
Can I just say that I love the thought that Britannia's post-apocalyptic setting is post-British?
Well, yeah, but not even necessarily post-apocalyptic, right? But just like, the empire's moved on, right? Or that empire, the Kingdom of Britannia is no more, and there's some new world that has supplanted it, and that is just built atop, the not unlike how Rome has the catacombs, right? So
we've already revamped Sosaria how many times? What's another round?
Well, why not, right? So, I mean, but just so to hear it like described, oh, that sounds amazing. I really wish I could just, get in there and explore that and not have to actually play a Souls-like.
To be fair, that's exactly where I am.
Well, given that I played Ultima 2 like the living embodiment of Florida Man, I would probably be your boss in a Souls-like.
Well, yeah, I guess there's that too. I mean, and to be fair, it is sometimes fun to like play the Ultima games in the most messed up ways possible. But
all I have to say, Steve the Avatar.
Yes, we have enjoyed his exploits many times. Or laughed at, or wept at, or, I mean, it kind of really depends.
I remember Ultima 5 when I would ransack the North Star Armory in Lord British Castle to get a lot of equipment on the storage, and my karma went down to the lowest. And after that, I would just build it back up to the top. Fully equipped with the best.
What gets me about that, the official in-character roleplay book walkthrough recommends doing that.
Yeah, well,
it does. It does.
You're outlaw.
Yeah, I mean, it's
complete with is this virtuous moment.
Yeah, and you lose experience and levels when you die, but you don't lose the stats you gain from leveling up. So you can stay at level 1, level up, and then die to return to level 1, and keep doing that until you max out your stats, and then you just level up for the hit points.
See, at least you could scum it in that way. I think they kind of patched that out in Ultima 6, because in Ultima 6, I mean, you could only level up your stats if you leveled up in general. But still, like, dying and especially using the help spell would just suck away all your experience points. So you could be at like level 4 and have your stats at whatever they were for level 4, but then your experience is like zeroed out. So you actually didn't want to get to level 5, you literally have to regrind all the experience points starting from 0, and it's
I see somebody edited out that if you kept Sherry the mouse and actually leveled her up, she could end up being insanely good.
I always kept Sherry. She was always in my party. For the first 2 decades I played that game, Sherry was always in the party, and it was my goal was always to like make sure that she could wear plate mail.
That is insane.
Plate mail that was considerably larger than she was.
Plate mail, a sword, and cheese. That was literally her entire inventory. But there it is.
Because Sherry must have cheese.
I put a lightning wand on her.
Yes, she was also really good with the lightning and fire wands. She was.
And I don't know if you checked the thread about hacking the save game to turn Jana into a mage. I figured out how to do it when she's already in your party.
Cool. I haven't read that one, but I mean, that would make sense for Jana to actually have magic points. I think YOLO has magic points. I remember that in one
YOLO
particular
and
case
Shamino
because
have magic points. YOLO,
I remember
Shamino, and Bueno.
I remember one particular playthrough, and again, this is like probably 30 years ago now, maybe 25, where I don't even remember what I was fighting against, but I was just getting, like, it was wiping the floor with me, and Yola was the only one I had left. So I managed to get him to the spell book, and he was able to do a little bit of damage, but and bail us out, but it was terrible.
YOLO living up to his name.
Yeah.
I can't
Right.
say much about U5 or U6 because those are the ones that I really didn't play. I've played 1 through 4, 7 part 2, and that's really kind of it.
Yeah,
I played 3. I played 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 part 2, 7 part 1, 8, 9.
And
I haven't played 1 and 2.
the
Or
worst
Beyond
part
the Worlds.
And the worst part of it about Ultima 3 was the most efficient, fastest way to level up and get gold was to be a vicious, murderous bastard. Because
Oh my gosh, the population dip you suffered at my hands in U3.
Did you
Because
build
the
a sacrificial party?
Because the glitch in the city of Fawn where the guards wouldn't spawn and you got to kill everybody for fast XP and gold.
I remember plundering Death Gulch.
Furthermore, I do believe that per Richard Garriott that weapons and armor in the PC version of the game were broken and did not work.
Yeah.
Sounds right. Speaking of Richard Garriott, and sort of circling back to Square Enix, so of course, yeah, I mean, Square Enix, and like, I guess in a way, it's not really surprising that they chose to sell off the studios that they did, right? Crystal Dynamics and the guys who made Deus Ex. Name is just not coming to my brain
There
right
was
now.
an interview of a number of devs, and they talked, and there was literally zero fucking talk about the next Deus Ex game. So there was no plans to even do one. And it's like, now with the new ownership, there's an opportunity, because these are the people that encouraged THQ to do like remasters of some games. And
Yeah,
I still have the Deus Ex Human Revolution in my queue.
yeah. Well, and
Human
that's the thing.
Revolution is amazing. You will love it.
Yeah, I
Mankind
still
have
Divided has some things that I wish were a little different, like the monetization the publishers kind of forced into it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But oh my god, Human Revolution was so good.
Yeah, I hear good things. I'm still going to play that one. But I mean, that's kind of what and I'm glad you raised that point about like Embracer and what they've encouraged like through THQ, because like, you know, I mean, we got an expansion for Reckoning, right? Like there's rumors of Reckoning 2. Like just
so good.
Right? Like this is
They literally are like, you know what? This is something where we think they deserve a little love, and they just jump right on it. And it's like, you can't complain about it because they're
not really
letting things flourish in a very natural way. But at the same time, they're getting games out there that so many young people have never heard of, or if they have, they've never touched.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, right? Like and I don't know, I don't really think of Embracer as a publisher. They're more just like, you know, sort of a owner, and then, you know, they let like THQ do their own thing and all the other groups that they own, and that's fine. Like whatever.
Yeah,
however
but they
it
seem
works
to be
for them,
very
whatever.
encouraging. They're like, so long as there's at least a profit, we don't see a problem. It doesn't have to be a huge profit. There just needs to be a profit. And it's like, that's a very reasonable way to look at it, because
exactly
some of these companies are like, no, we want it to be at least this level of profit and all that. And it's like, but that's not always what you can do in the business world. You got to, you know, sometimes understand that small profit's better than no profit. Sometimes.
So basically,
I mean, false
they're like
profits
an
worked out for you, thanks.
refactor akin to what Beamdog did with the Baldur's Gate series and such, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like, and you know, even if that's all that we get, and that's what we got with Reckoning so far, right? Is, you know, we got Reckoning or Re-Reckoning. It's a bit of a cumbersome name, but like, yeah, but it's a cumbersome name, but like, yeah, it's again, name aside, like it's been like, I've been playing it on the Switch and it's great, and you know, it's just, it's nice that, you know, Embracer seems to encourage that, and that the studios are responsive. So I actually have really, really great hope for, like, you know, Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and a whole bunch of properties that Square just let go. And at the same time, you know, given what you were talking about earlier, Harmony, I totally get why they, well, I mean, I get part of why they chose to sell the studios off, because they're Western studios, and who gives a crap about those? Because they are very sort of Japan exceptionalists. And
I mean, as an American and having been raised all of my life on we're number one, I can kind of understand that to a point.
right, sure.
Yeah,
but
at
I
the
mean,
same
Japan
time,
has a very... Oh, sorry, you go, Golem.
I'll say, but at the same time, too, they've made it very obvious sort of what their goals are for the future for the company. And a lot of those Western games weren't a priority for them anymore. They wanted to focus on NFT, blockchain stuff. They want to focus more on the Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, a lot more of their sort of classic Square Enix franchises, which, I mean, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, great. At least they, instead of holding on to the IP and just letting it stagnate, they're actually doing something with it.
Well,
They're letting
Or
someone else
rather,
run.
letting someone else do something with it.
But yeah, they're making their money and they're running off with it and doing what they
I-
want.
hope I don't
Exactly.
get a ramen noodle cup helmet like I did in 15.
I love Bravely Default.
But the other part of what I wanted to touch on, and this gets us towards Richard Garriott as well, is like, okay, so fine, they want to divest their IPs, fine, sure, all power to them. Japanese exceptionalism, you do you, whatever, fine. Hand the Western IPs off to somebody who's going to do something with them, great, good. I think this works out well for all involved, except that what's the other reason that
We were waiting for that.
yeah. What's the other reason that Square Enix gave for wanting to divest these? Want people to focus on blockchain gaming in their remaining properties.
I still love the
That sounded
fact
very
that
Guardian-like for a moment there.
gamers have made it so obvious what their thoughts are in regards to their spending. Like the amount of people that
No, you think it's obvious?
the amount of money that people spend on that comes from so few people. It's hilarious. It's like you can fit them all in a room.
And so, of course, should come charging in to capitalize on this grand idea that nobody wants.
Oh boy.
That's our own Lord British, right? Who just announced this new IP that apparently he's working on with Todd Parker, the guy who murdered Ion Storm. I shouldn't say that. Maybe I don't know. Depending on whose account of it you believe, Todd Parker was.
Look, honesty is a virtue. No one said whether it had to be brutal or not.
Yeah.
I'm
Depending on which.
completely fine blaming him for it.
Some of the accounts I've read certainly do seem to, pinpoint him as one of the particular agents of its downfall. So, okay, fine, whatever. And I mean, like, he's had a bit of a interesting career beyond that, lately into casinos and stuff. Which I guess is like a perfect springboard for this whole NFT bullshit, because why part people from their money? Honestly, I don't know. And I mean, but then too, as was also alluded to in the preamble, they're like right at the time, like, and literally, like, I mean, I gotta quote this, I think, in its entirety. I don't know if any of you follow the Web3 is going great website.
Absolutely.
It is just the best thing. But literally, like, their story, and this is from May 3rd, this is a few days old now. NFT sales drop 92% from peak, says Wall Street Journal. The actual, and that's a more charitable headline than the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal said NFT sales are flatlining. That was their headline. But, quoting Web3 is going great.
It's so much more than flatlining. They literally have gone down. People have lost their arm and shirt. There have been massive losses and theft. That one NFT game lost, what was it, $600 and some million?
Yeah, or I really like the guy. I really like the one that was like, because I guess the Bored Ape Yacht Club, that NFT crudely drawn apes thing that made a whole bunch of money. Because, I too want to own an ape JPEG. Seriously, why has Star Citizen not gone to NFTs? I too want to own an ape JPEG, a crudely drawn monkey that I paid $45,000 for on sale. But
Totally worth it.
really, I just,
I have
And-
been
and you- and
approached
literally
by
some
so
people-
many artists saying you should do this, and I'm just like, no.
some people in that community
Why?
actually think that screenshots are property theft. Like, can you believe that? Anyways,
Like, I have my branding to think of. My branding, I would like it to survive. I've built a good reputation. I don't
There's a
want to
lot
ruin it
of
after
bullshit
27
going on in
years.
digital stuff.
So I totally have an idea about like how I would go about selling images if I ever wanted to actually like sell images like in an NFT kind of way, and maybe I'll talk about that later. But and Golem, you can criticize this because I'm sure this is like the stupidest
no.
idea I've ever had. But no, coming back to the one that I liked, the compromise that I liked, and I mean like there's been so many, right? Which is like all kinds of, like you say, thefts and other things that have gone on. But the one that I liked was like, so apparently the Bored Ape thing is expanding out into like this, because the latest thing is now like blockchain games that are like NFT, but like real world properties and shit like that. So apparently the Bored Ape thing is, you know, there is morphing over into like a land grabby kind of game, right? Shades of Soda's land grab, which we all remember how that went.
Oh dear.
But so I guess someone popped the official Instagram account for the Bored Ape thing
That's
and
funny.
put up a link for like, you know, oh hey, yeah, claim your land. And of course, to do that, they had to like, I guess, give away account details, and so thieves were able to make off with several $1 million worth of Bored Ape NFTs. Which, I mean, you know, like in a way, it's like a low hanging fruit kind of thing, because all they did is pop an Instagram account and then put up a malicious link on the Instagram account. But like that could just, you know, that goes to show like the inherent vulnerability of this whole thing, because, and I mean, really, that's sort of the inherent vulnerability of anything to do with cryptocurrency is if I get your private key, man, I own you and every coin you have. I don't care what kind of coin it is. If I have the private key to your wallet, you don't have a wallet. I have 2 wallets. So just, oh my gosh. But anyways, yeah. So WSJ reports that the NFT market is collapsing, citing data from Non-Fungible. I don't know what, some organization that I guess tracks this stuff, that showed daily average sales of NFTs had dropped to 92% from their September peak. They also reported, the last time we recorded, they also reported that active wallets had dropped 88% from their November peak, suggesting that fewer people were regularly trading NFTs. This may reflect growing disillusionment with a sector that's increasingly earned its reputation as full of scams, opportunity. So, hello. So, I just like, this is exactly the wrong time to of course go diving into
Hello, Harmony.
hey Harmony, how you doing? I forgot that we could do
Oh,
video.
I hit the wrong button. Whoops.
There you go.
I have to say, though, I have to say, I am absolutely glad that I got out of crypto when I did, because in between all of this NFT bullshit going on and with what's going on with the Ukraine and Russia, the market for crypto has also been tanking.
Yeah, notice that too. I mean, I get paid, quote unquote. Some people have chosen to contribute to the Ultima Codex, and like if you go to the Codex today, you'll see the Brave browser icon on the Codex. And some people have chosen to use the tipping system that's built into Brave, using their affinity token system, whatever it is. So they've tipped the Ultima Codex a few times, and thank you to whoever's done so. I don't know who you are. I don't get that data, but thank you if you have. And so I have a small amount of affinity tokens, and some of those I've converted over to, I think I'm staking Polkadot. But just within the last month, like a third of the value of that stake has evaporated. And I mean, like we're talking pennies here, right? Maybe a few dollars at most. So it's, you know, not like anything that I'm panicked about or even particularly worried about, but it's an interesting finger on the pulse of at least a particular crypto market. Polkadot is one of those proof of stake currencies as opposed to proof of work currency. And just, it's like, yeah, since Vladimir decided that he needed to go toe to toe with Volodymyr, crypto has not been looking good.
I mean, I can't say much because, I mean, I did lose about $100 out of my wallet due to the value having tanked a bit. I mean, it could be worse. I could have been Zepla and what she went through with her bank. Are you being of Ukrainian descent? You know who I'm talking about, Kenneth.
Yeah, a little bit.
And you being a streamer, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Hey, Drax. I like the VTuber avatar. I like that.
This is the Draxenet avatar.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about,
You might as well fill the audience in. Not everybody follows the streamers.
for those who don't know what I'm talking
about, for different content.
Harmony.
Zepla is a very popular Ukrainian Twitch streamer who mainly streams Final Fantasy XIV. She, due to the war that Russia had been prosecuting against the Ukraine, she had to flee to Poland. Well, she tried using her bank debit card in Poland, and due to fraud protection, her bank had frozen her account and told her that they wanted her to show up in person at a bank in the Ukraine, and well, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I think that happened to a few. Might have happened to more than one streamer, but yeah, it's just.
But
and I mean,
regularly putting out content, I think they've probably gotten that resolved at this point because she is popular and a fairly big name.
Yeah.
Well, another Final Fantasy 14 one, Zepla. She went from Ukraine to Germany to Spain. Like, she was moving all over because different countries had different issues with her trying to use her money that was back in the Ukraine to.
I heard that she wanted to move to the United States, but was worried about about the legality of bringing her pets along.
Yeah, yeah, there's some issues with that, which I feel bad. She's a wonderful young lady. She's a complete goof like all of us here, which is fantastic.
Well,
the exact kind of person that would get along, which is the kind of people we like to see on Twitch.
Well, get her on the podcast, Golem. Like, come on.
You know how busy she is? No, that ain't gonna work very easy. I'd get her on mine first before I get her on here. I'd be selfish. It's more fun.
But I mean, well, and that's a whole nother. You know, I try. On the one hand, I mean, I try not to follow that. Well, no, I do, but I don't. Like, I try to follow that conflict, but I try not to follow that conflict, or I try not to be emotionally invested in it because, like, it's just being Ukrainian is a thing. Like, that's all I can describe it. Like, I have never been to Ukraine. I don't speak the language anymore. I haven't been fluent in it since I was 6 years old. But you have to, and in a way, it's actually almost more concentrated having grown up in like the Ukrainian community here, a lot of whom are part of the Ukrainian diaspora or who, you know, are children of the Ukrainian diaspora. Canada is the third largest concentration of ethnic Ukrainians outside of Russia and Ukraine. And, you know, I mean, I grew up in that community, and there's this real sort of concentration of strong pro-Ukraine sentiment. So even I've never been there, I don't speak the language, but I grew up in this whole environment of, you know, like, that's our country, man. You know, like I mean, Canada is too, but like, it's Ukraine. Like, that's just, there's a strong affinity that, you know, even me, who's like a third generation or fourth generation, depending on how you look at it, child of Ukrainian immigrants, with a massively diluted bloodline. I'm not pure blood Ukrainian by any means. But just that strong affinity for the homeland. And so, I mean, like, I follow it, and there's sort of this, but I try not to be too attached to it because, like, it's at a certain level, it's just, I don't know, it's overwhelming. And, you know, I talk with my dad, or like I talk with other people who are, you know, people I know through the Ukrainian community here, and it's the same thing. It's like, you know, none of us has ever been there. We never set foot on Ukrainian soil. But it feels very, very personal what's happening over there, even so, because that's just the community we grew up in. And, you know, that's just the mentality of that community. And so, I don't know. Anyways, that was a digression. I don't even know where I was going with that. I've had too much whiskey. Damn it. But I hate it. I hate seeing it. God, like, how much has changed since we recorded? My God.
Yeah. A lot has.
Like, I just, And I mean, the delay is entirely on me and my insane life.
Real life has happened to all of us. Ken.
Yeah, it's been kind of insane though. This whole time, so much has changed.
I was gonna say, dude, I don't think I've been here since I think last time I was on a recording was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think we had a pandemic the last time we talked to you. I think that was still that was yet to happen.
That was pre-pandemic.
Which, and I mean, God, it's been. I got to admit, it's been nuts.
It is.
My team continues to lose people and gain clients.
My dad,
I hear you there.
My dad's at the point of considering retiring because they can't hire. They're not hiring more people, or the few people they have hired have left within 6 months, and so it's he's kind of at the point now where he feels like he's a one-man team at times. It's yep, nope, time to be done.
Yeah. And I mean, I was glad at least last week I got to go out to do a project out in Vancouver, which was nice.
BC or Washington?
BC. Shit, if I gotta cross the border, I gotta renew my passport. The damn thing halfway through last year.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever, it happens. If they actually if there's, I've just told my managers look, if there's a U.S. project on the horizon, I need a 2-month lead time just to get my passport back. But it is what it is. But so
we had actually renewed my passport, but don't have the visa for the U.S. and the appointments are. Last time I checked, there were appointments available until 2024.
I still have my Nexus, so I'm glad for that. I should tell. I got to tell you the Nexus story. That was a fun one. But anyways, so we had done a lightning trip to Vancouver in late September, just kind of after the last podcast recording, actually, and we saw my wife's family and we saw my grandparents, but we missed seeing my cousin, who actually lives not far from my wife's sister. But just the timing didn't work out. They had stuff going on with their 2 kids and it just didn't work out. So this time I kind of made sure it's hey, cousin Mike, I'm literally working 2 minutes from your front door. You free for something one night this week? I was glad to make that work. That was really good. So that was kind of a plus. Nice to see, people that I haven't seen since 2018. The Nexus story, just quickly to roundabout on that. So in 2019, after the shitty start to that year, I'm glad we had the 2019 we did because it made 2020 seem less severe. Almost losing a kid will do that to you. So after,
I had COVID in November.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that a little bit. So in February, just to quickly recap for those who only just started following the podcast, in 2019, early 2019, my second daughter nearly died of appendicitis. And then after she finished recovering from the surgery for that, because they had to actually do the invasive surgery, not the laparoscopic. After she finished recovering from that, she broke her arm at a birthday party. So she had a crap first half of that year. So my wife and I literally decided, fuck it, we're doing the big ass vacation. So we flew to Legoland, San Diego. Legoland Hotel was our base. And from there, you can go to La Jolla, you can go to the zoo, you can go to Disneyland. It's only an hour. I'm still kicking myself that I didn't reach out to Bill Randolph because he kind of lives somewhere around there. But whatever. So we did the big blowout vacation and it was great. But on the way home, we're at the airport, we're kind of just navigating through the San Diego airport. And I think a water bottle got dropped or something. And we didn't one of my kids had taken a sip of her water bottle and then put it down. And then we had kind of moved up the line and gone through security. And only then did she realize, oh crap, I left my water bottle there. So I literally handed all the bags off to, and I mean, I'm the only Nexus card holder in my family. So we had gone through the normal security line. So she's like, oh my gosh, my water bottle, I forgot it back there. So I left everything with my wife and she kind of kept the kids moving along, ran back out of security, grabbed the water bottle, and then thanks to the fact that I had my Nexus card, was able to flash that, go to the expedited line and get through and catch up to them. And it was literally only about a 10-minute turnaround. So I really love trusted traveler programs. But yeah.
So her running back with a bottle of water probably made a bunch of security people's sphincters clench up real tight, didn't it?
Well, I mean, like we had actually, I think that was the reason why she had forgotten is because we had kind of like encouraged the kids, like, okay, if you have any water left, like we'll find a bathroom on the other side, but you can't have a full water bottle going through the security line. So, she had diligently like drank hers down, or maybe poured it out. I can't remember now. Either way, it had gotten forgotten. Just like, oh shit, well, I got to run back and grab that. Because, 5-year-olds have sentimental attachments to things. And their 40-year-old father really shouldn't point fingers in that regard because he does too. So there it is. But at least, having the Nexus card, I could like kind of just skip around the really long ass line of people trying to get through security and go the short way. So at least I had that. And I was able to catch up to them within like 10 or 15 minutes. But back in the heady days when, I mean, air travel has actually largely become normal again. Except, like the plane I was on to Vancouver was literally, there was no seats left. None at all. You get really glad for that vertical airflow.
To be entirely fair, the last time I was ever on a plane was January 2000, before we started seeing all this security theater. And even then, still kind of giving you the stink eye if you came through security with a bottle of anything. But it was giving you the stink eye and wanting to look at the bottle.
Yeah. I think I mentioned, oh no, that might have happened. Did I tell you all about the, I tell you all about my, what I managed to get through security? One of my projects, this might have been late last year, or maybe it was, I don't remember now. Too many projects. Anyways, I had to fly to this particular client site. And so I'm going through airport security. And like I have this ritual down where it's like, I just quickly empty my pockets into like if my pants pockets, everything in my pants pockets except for like maybe ID if I need it, goes into my jacket. Because, then it's just there, right? Like I don't have to spend time dicking around with stuff, right? Like I just throw my jacket in the bin and it goes through the scanner and we're all good. Well, and I'm going to turn my camera on for this, I think, because you got to see this. If I can figure out where the camera, there we go. Turn on camera. So anyways, I'm going through, I get through security. It's just fine. And, get all my stuff. And of course, now I'm past security and I'm going to my gate. And so I'm going through the ritual of then re-emptying my jacket pockets and putting the pocket contents back to where everything should belong. Right. And in the middle of all of that,
you went to airport security with a switchblade.
3.5-inch folding blade, locking blade knife. And this is an outdoor edge knife. So believe me, this thing, if you sneeze on it, it will gash you. It is fucking sharp.
Oh, man.
Good job.
And I'm just like, I'm reaching into my pocket and all of a sudden my hand closes around this thing and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, this is a knife. What the hell is it doing? I'd forgotten it was there. I had just like emptied. Thank you for the golf clap. I love it. I'd emptied my pockets. I'd had a crap night the night before. My son had been up so many times. So I hadn't even thought about it. Like when I put it all into my pockets. But then as I'm emptying my pocket out, my hand closes around this thing and I'm just like, holy shit, what the hell is this doing here? Like, I just totally forgotten it was there, but the scanners didn't pick it up. It had been next to my keys. And I mean, the body is like the knife blade. So, okay, actually, hang on. Video's going back on. I got to show you this thing's party trick, okay? Well, no, this is the thing. This is why outdoor edge knives are great, okay? So
did you just remove that thing from the
this is the chat, like the handle is basically just a chassis. And then you get, when you buy one of these things, you get a whole package for these things. It's like razor blades, right? So the idea is like basically, you just got to do this right or I'm going to slice my hand open.
So
You just slide the blade on, and the blade's the only real metal part here. The blade's the only metal part. Everything else is like, some sort of funky ass carbon fiber, I don't know, or plastic or whatever it is.
What you're telling me is that you were noticing this while you were in front of the security guards.
No, I'm standing in front of the gate for my plane.
After you've already gotten past the security guard.
Yeah, this was just sitting next to my keys in my jacket, and
so you probably had a sphincter that could have crushed coal into diamond at that point.
Maybe. I
Holy
don't know.
crap. Also, I should mention my fiance works IT for the University of Florida. That wiring back there, holy crap. Behind.
Well, okay, so that I can't really take credit for that. Like, that was all here when I moved in. That's actually the electrical panel behind me. I'm down in my furnace room. That's my office.
Oh.
So that's like the electrical panel is there, and then some of like the cable connections and old phone lines and the fiber link and whatever else. It all kind of comes in there. But yeah, it is a bit of a rat's nest, I know, but it is what it is.
To quote Linus, rats need a place to live too.
Yeah. I do have flags.
Similar experience, not as extreme. In my case, I bought a second-hand, what's it called? Second-hand luggage bag, and I cleaned it all up, and I packed all of my stuff. But before I took the car to go to the airport, I noticed that it had a small compartment, and just decided to open it just to look into it. And there was a folding knife from the previous owner.
Oh.
So, funny story. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, admittedly, I always travel with knives, and I do usually tuck them into my checked baggage. Not my carry-on.
You are a scout leader, so it makes sense to.
I feel completely naked if I don't have my knife on me. It is weird.
Well, everybody's got to have a fetish.
It's like the most useful tool that I have. Everything. Yeah, I don't even.
Now, I've got a rather funny story talking about electricity and silliness. Do it. Being a nerdy kid doesn't mean, and being a well-behaved kid doesn't mean I didn't have my own defiance and that I wasn't grounded periodically for talking back or doing things that displeased my mother when I was young. However, I was more than periodically sent to my room. However, I was lucky when I was young. I had a computer of my own and I had a TV of my own in my room. People take that for granted these days, but back in the 1980s and 1990s, that was a little bit of a luxury. However, my mother, what she would do when she sent me to my room, she would go take the breaker to my room and flip it off.
Oh.
Yes, so my mother was every bit the intelligent person I was.
Yeah, fight fire with fire. These days, that would be, I guess, like me having the ability to selectively drop internet access for individual devices in my house.
You can do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If my 13-year-old's living with me, sorry, your Discord access got completely cut off on all the devices that you have access to, and only those devices. I'm still on Discord. How about that? Yeah. I can do it from an app on my phone.
Actually.
Yeah, it's basically each device that joins my Wi-Fi kind of gets registered by the access points. And so I can assign them to different groups. I can say, okay, these devices have to have like downtime so they don't get internet access at all between certain hours, or these devices have parental controls enabled, whereas these ones don't. These ones have advanced security protections enabled versus these ones don't. It's really, really handy. And yeah,
I would have a workaround here, which is unsecure as hell, mostly because One of the prices we pay for having the unlimited data on our Wi-Fi is that our Xfinity wireless gateways act as a wireless gateway for anybody nearby that has the Xfinity internet. So it's basically legal war talking.
That is the opposite of security.
Oh, believe me, I know. But like I said, unsecure as crap. So if
I read about this shit. Go on.
So if somebody was to block the family login, I would just go through the Xfinity login.
See, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Xfinity uses the same RS modems. They look like a big black obelisk that my ISP does, but my ISP doesn't enable that shit. Thank goodness.
Oh, that's what we used to have. We have a different modem now. If you'll give me a second, I will actually show you the modem we've got now. One moment. Eeny, meeny, miny, Murphy. Oh, whoa, wrong thing. Okay, how do I turn this around?
Why is your modem wearing glasses?
That's because I can't figure out how to flip this thing around.
Well, if nothing else, you can turn the phone around.
Okay, here.
Okay, yeah, that's similar to the one that looks like an RS one, maybe a slightly newer version than the one that I have.
Okay, so we used to have a big black tower.
Mm.
In fact, I still have one in my living room because when they sent us this one, because it was a self-install,
right?
They sent us the box with the form factor for that little thing, and told us to put the old black tower in that box, which it wouldn't fit, and send it back. And when I called Xfinity and said, yeah, the box or the modem wouldn't fit in the box, oh, well, just bring it to the local office. Our local office closed when the pandemic hit.
Of course it did.
So for the last 3 months, I've had an Xfinity modem sitting in my front living room.
My case, I got the service for the internet, and they don't provide the passwords to the customer because they are the ones who they want to be the only ones to manage the modem. But I happened to Google for the default password, and that's what it had. So I logged into the modem and set it up to my specifications and my liking.
Nice. Very nice. Well, so what's everyone been playing lately? Just to take the topic in a completely wrenchingly different direction.
So par for the course, really.
Right, exactly.
Honestly, a nice variety of games. Like I've been doing Core Keeper, which reminds me a lot of Stardew Valley, only instead you're trapped underground. And you have bosses to kill, but you do like the typical mining, the farming, crafting, and all that.
Nice.
Fun stuff. Nobody Saves the World, which is a roguelike where you transform into different creatures. And you have
I saw the trailer for that. It looks like an interesting idea.
And you can combine different skills into different ones. And it's such a goofy game. So, and then, Children of Morta, another rogue. I've been on a roguelike kick for a while now. That one's pretty amazing as well.
Where I've been playing for my offline play, I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV, which I've been killing gods.
I mean, that happens fairly regularly in Final Fantasy XIV.
That's something video gamers do pretty much regularly in general.
I was going to say.
Well, it's kind of part of the story of 14 in the most recent expansion. You kind of kill the capital G, like, progenitor gods of the world in that expansion, and with, for lack of a better term. Though also for my streaming, what I've been playing is the Dragon Warrior series. My plans though for next month, come my birthday, is I was going to start through the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters.
Nice.
I've heard very good things because every year I always do, the Final Fantasy series. And to me, at least 1 through 6 have always been comfort food.
Awesome. Oh, hey, Nobody Saves the World is available for Switch. Well, let's wish list.
Yeah.
Let us wish list.
It
that.
is probably one of my favorite goofy roguelikes to just run around and just enjoy leveling the different ones, because as you level the different transformations, you unlock more transformations. And so you can get some really incredibly goofy ones that just, for me, just crack me up, because it's just like, okay, whoever the developers are for this, they literally could not take their own game seriously. And I'm very happy about that. It's like, this is what I want to see. I don't want you to make a game. I want a game where I could literally just goof around and not care.
Yeah, I saw a couple trailers for that. It was like, that looks like it could be a fun time, knowing that it's Golem approved.
On stream, I've been doing Weird West, which is literally Lovecraft and a Wild West with sort of that wasteland and original Fallout top view or Arcanum, all that. So you have baddies that turn into werewolves. You got sirens. You got all things, but you also have your bear. You have camping you can do, and you can go hunt for food while you're camping, like Oregon Trail. It's just the whole premise of it is you're this woman that used to be a bounty hunter in the Wild West. You hung up your gun. You had a kid. You got married. You have a nice farm. They murder your kid. They murder your pet dog. They take your husband away, and you decide, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to get revenge. It's like, great, wonderful. It's such a wonderful, believable Western story. And it's that whole mix of supernatural combined with the Wild West is such a unique one, because we really don't see many Wild West games anymore.
No, you don't.
And it's, I hate to say it, it's kind of a disappointment that we don't get more of that.
The last game that I saw that was closest to Wild West was the Wasteland series with Wasteland 2.
Yeah, the Wasteland games have a little bit of that, but this Weird West game has just such a unique take by tossing that Lovecraftian supernatural goofiness into it with cultists and other craziness. I will say people thoroughly enjoyed me going to go collect the bounty and then finding out they're a bunch of werewolves and watching the werewolves sneak up behind me and tear out my insides.
It is what it is.
Almost like people enjoy watching me die on stream.
Yeah, well.
Although it's sort of been a national pastime in any pretty much video game where people enjoy watching me die. So, I mean.
That was also a side effect of my Dragon Warrior play, as people have gotten to hear me poorly mispronounce Finnish profanity.
Nice.
Because a funny story, the original Dragon Warrior, your character's initial stats and their stat progression was randomly determined based on a hash of the first 4 letters of your name. So I've decided to see what would happen if I named my character Perkele, which is... Which, for those in the crowd, is one of the most common popular Finnish swears. It doesn't have a direct translation, but it comes out to one of the names of the devil.
It's a common punchline on a particular
I'm not saying
comic.
a problem. Okay.
Well, it gave me the worst possible starting stats. Again, it's completely mathematically determined based on a hash of the letters.
Maybe they did that on purpose.
I got the worst possible starting stats and the worst possible progression.
Maybe they did it on purpose. They plotted it all out.
So, for the last couple of weeks, we made a joke that my character was the world's shittiest hero.
Honestly, I've always found it fascinating sometimes that certain ones sometimes will purposely code games knowing that gamers will sometimes do goofy shit like that, and they will just troll. And
Well,
it's like, God bless you, devs, for doing
even-
goofy shit like that, because we approve so much.
they would keep you from naming your character Erdrick if you tried, because Erdrick was the name of the legendary hero that's your ancestor in that game.
But even with that, even against all odds, you defeated the Dragon Lord in one go, in one try.
And one try at what's considered a normal level to fight him.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, I was surprised, but it came out. It worked. It went well. I had quite a bit of fun doing it, and I wouldn't have tried it if it wasn't for Draxanath being there suggesting that I try it at that level.
So Drax is the troublemaker. Oh.
I was going to try to get 2 more levels because I figured I was grossly underleveled at that point.
Honestly, is it really all that surprising that Drax is a troublemaker?
No.
In my case, I've played a lot of old games. I've played the Commander Keen series. I streamed them, episodes 1 and 4. Then Duke Nukem 2. Already finished episodes 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I already finished Blackgate. I'm playing Serpent Isle right now. And also
I'm sorry I've
playing
been
Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. You couldn't hear you. Your voice was choppy.
I was apologizing for missing several of your streams. I've ended up conking out after my own.
Yeah, it's understandable.
I've missed a lot
And
of
also,
streams, unfortunately.
And I've been playing a roguelike. Let me get you the title. It's Rogue Legacy.
Fun
Basically,
game.
When you,
Very
yeah,
good.
It's a fun one.
yeah, when you die, then you can choose your next character. They give you some options. Each character has some randomly generated perks, like sometimes myopic, sometimes colorblind, sometimes giantish, sometimes dwarf. Sometimes
Right.
they are slow, sometimes they're very tough, sometimes
I've actually eaten that one a couple years back. It was real fun.
yeah. It's a lot of fun. You never know what you're going to get for the flaws and the perks, or how should I call those? The good and the bad qualities. You never know what you're going to get next.
Nice.
It's quite fun. And Fridays are Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, I noticed you
even have
streamed
a
that earlier.
Yeah, I even have a queue so that anyone. Right now, it's set up for people have to cheer to add to the queue. I was allowing anyone to add, but there were random people just getting in and adding to the queue, and they wouldn't follow my stream or contribute in any way or the other than adding some stupid levels that did things like for example, there was a level which was supposed to be a comic, and it was weird and making weird sounds and weird visual effects, and I got tired of people just barging in, adding stuff to the queue and leaving. So I set it up for 100 bits.
Fair. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I've been mostly
and,
playing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Didn't mean to
and
interrupt.
I can add levels manually myself, so I can just skip that for people I trust and add the levels. But for unknown people, if they want to add stuff, they have to cheer 100 bits.
Nice. Well, Golden Flame, you were about to go in on what you.
Yeah, I've been mostly playing Stellaris because I can drop in and out with less, narrative needing to keep track of what's going on and such. Although it does have the one more turn pull that any good 4X will have. I just started, but I haven't really gotten into, but I did finally just start Nox Archaeist. And at some point, I've been slowly playing through, replaying in most cases, but playing for the first time in a couple of cases, the Ultima series. I finally finished Martian Dreams a couple months ago, which means that Ultima 7 Blackgate is teed up for when I want to get back to that. But I'm kind of saving it for when I can reward myself for something or another, or possibly I'll stream it or something. I don't know.
The more I see,
All right, Martian Dreams. I need to get back to that at some point.
the more
Yeah, that
I
was
see
that was 2 computers and a move ago.
and how great, how expansive they were. I think I did myself a disservice that the first PC Ultima that I played, because as I've said before, the very first Ultima I ever played was U3 Exodus on the NES. But the first PC one I played in college was the Blackgate. I think I did myself a disservice there, because while it was, very more a complete simulationist in that you could bake bread and you could do all of these various different things, combat,
It's hot garbage.
Exactly. I mean,
is there an Ultima game where combat is good?
it made more sense early on. Granted, as much as a game where you're naked holding a crossbow at a McDonald's drive-through woman's head saying, "Give me all the Big Macs," makes sense.
Ultima 9 has decent combat.
Well,
And I don't
can't
mind
say-
the combat in Ultima 6, but like U9 has decent combat.
It doesn't actively get in the way like 7's combat does. I found
Yes.
9's combat to be bland is the thing. Like, it's not bad, but it also wasn't good. It was bland. It was serviceable. The game wasn't about the combat, so I didn't mind, but I wasn't going to be like, this game has good combat.
The problem with
I
the
don't-
U9 combat
virtue combat didn't matter.
Well, and
Having
doesn't.
strength combat didn't matter.
And definitely in a
Just
lot of the later
remember
Ultima games, it
Ultima 5.
doesn't matter that much. The thing about U9's
Just
combat,
remember Ultima 5 combat.
oof. Well, in the earlier
It's,
Ultimas, I mean, they're very combat heavy, so grindy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Ultima 5. If you have the weapon and you have a spike shield and spiked helmet and spike collar, you would get an attack for each one of them. And
Yeah,
you
U6
had
is the
to-
same way.
I mean,
But I mean, the thing about U9's combat is that it's actually surprisingly rich, but you only find out about that if you buy the Prima strategy guide. None of the actual in-box documentation lets you know what's there.
well, knowledge of the land shall be great.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean, like, even like,
bought the Prima guide along with Ultima 9.
there you go. Because like if you train up on like the staves, then you know to always keep a staff in your inventory because you can use it to flip the giant crabs and then you can finish them off with a sword, right? Like you can wail away at them all day when you meet them on the beach and you're not going to do anything. The sword won't penetrate their shell. But if you can flip them over and expose their underbelly, whack, 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 dead.
So what you're saying is that Spoonie's bitching in his retrospective was wrong-headed and he didn't play the game right? Say it ain't so.
Shocked. I'm sure we're
I know, we're all shocked.
That's the everyday for a lot of games.
Yeah, and
A lot
that's
of
not
people that
that's not an
don't
unfair
get
comment.
it and they complain that the game's bad because they didn't get it and they didn't try stuff.
Yeah. Or, I mean, like, my favorite sort of example in the opposite direction is, from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2. And I mean, there's a lot you can say about, the diminishment of RPG elements in Mass Effect 2 versus its predecessor. There's a lot you can say there. But, think about how the cover system works in Mass Effect 1 versus, oh, wait, we implemented it the way the engine meant it to be implemented in Mass Effect 2.
And
Well,
just remember on Skyward Sword, the Deku Baba, they have a directional mouth, and you have to flash them in the same direction as the opening. And there are some that I have a different color, and they switch the mouth opening, and you have to try to figure it out. And they dodge a lot, and they're troublesome. But if you have bombs, you can just drop a bomb on the floor, and they would try to swallow it, and it explodes on them inside their mouth.
Handy.
So it's the easiest way to defeat them. But you have to try. If you never try throwing a bomb at them, you don't find out that's what they do.
as somebody who's played and beaten Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3 several times, I have to say I vastly prefer 2 and 3's combat to 1 because being able to snipe enemies from literally a third of the way across a planet is just plain silly.
Well, but like it's they basically stopped fighting against the engine and started just pacing the combat according to what the engine best supported, right? What is Unreal? It's a cover-based shooter. Why are you dicking around with the cover system? Like, just roll with it, guys. Come on. Mass Effect Andromeda has amazing combat. I don't care what anybody says. Love it.
Oh, I agree with you.
I finally polished that one off over the intervening months between our last episodes. So that was nice to finally put away. I'll probably replay it at some point. But yeah, it was good to put that one away. And since then, geez, what have I been jamming?
One of my main complaints with shooter games is that you have a rifle meant for sniping, and you are sniping at 15 or 30 meters at most.
Only if you mess it up, man. Only if
Sniping-
you mess it up.
When sniping,
Lorthos.
it should be done at 400 meters. That's the normal default
Here's-
distance for sniping.
Well, Drax, you're talking to somebody who actually has fired actual rifles. Is using iron sights the go-to battle rifle that we used when I was in the United States Army, the M16, was effective. They trained us between 50 and 300 meters, and that was with iron sights. Snipers, go ahead.
What's the longest sniper kill on record? 2 miles, something like that? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous range.
Absolutely, you're correct. But I think you're not going far enough when you're talking about ranges for Drax. And Kenneth, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean it's and I mean, like, obviously, again, it's a game, so we're not playing Arma here. We're playing Mass Effect, so rigorous realism is not amongst my expectations going in. Right? If I'm lining up down the sniper rifle sights and it's telling me that the target's 192 meters away, that's fine. I don't give a shit. I really don't. But no, there's Clorthos playing his playing Underworld 2, I assume.
So sorry. Is that going into the audio?
I'm not picking it up. I think you're just getting it locally.
Oh, okay, cool.
How do I kill that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm not even watching the stream. I just see the text channel. Just click over to like the podcast chat check text channel, and it'll that becomes the focus then. Or like, I mean, if I click back to the podcast recordings, then I can watch the stream. But it's optional, right? Like I just tap the button to watch the stream, like this. If I tap watch stream, then I get the audio. There we go. That's how that works. It doesn't automatically inject it into the recording. It just puts it in if you're actually paying attention. I don't even know if Craig picked that up. Or maybe Craig's recording everything. I don't know. We'll find out when I get the audio back.
It's a mystery.
Well, the thing, I mean, at least he gives me separate streams, right? So, yeah, I don't know if you've met Craig Linguistic.
Nope.
Yeah, we picked this up. I don't even know how long ago, but basically the bot records everything that we're saying in the channel here, and then I get separate audio streams for each ES. It's handy.
What saddens me though, when we're talking about Spoonie, and yeah, he's kind of really let himself go and had a mental break.
Is several years ago now, yeah.
Yeah, the beginning of the retrospective, he really, you could really tell he knew what he was talking about, and he had played the games when mentioning the Akalabeth and the early Ultimas. It was obvious he was talking about the games from a point of knowledge of somebody who played them. But when he got,
go on,
and
sorry.
the nitpicks he mentioned about U6 and about the inventory management and how it pissed him off, you could tell that was coming from somebody who was legitimately upset about how about how that happened.
Sure.
But once he got past that to later games, you could tell it was more he was going from other people's playthroughs. It wasn't as...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll chime in to say that, like, I hate his review of Underworld 2. Like, it's very clear that he barely played the game because he makes it sound like the entire game takes place in the Britannian sewers, which it does not. You have the it's funny, I just finished watching the new Spider-Man, so you have the multiverse in Ultima in the whole game. You don't just have one world, you have multiple worlds to go to, and he never touches on that at all, so I don't think he really played through it.
Yeah, well,
I think he got
far enough to actually get there.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, his big thing is, if I remember correctly, like, everybody's got the Ultima, everybody who's an Ultima fan has the Ultima that is like their Ultima, right? And, for me, it's Ultima 6. You all know this. And your individual mileages, right? And your individual mileages likely do vary, and that's fine.
You're allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, everybody's got. And I think Spoonie's Ultima is Ultima 4, and everything is viewed through the lens of Ultima 4. Yeah, fair enough. But like, it becomes as you move towards Ultima 4, his reviews are generally favorable, and then as you start moving away from Ultima 4, it's just sort of this downwards trajectory in favorability. Even Ultima 7, he's not particularly kind to, which is, and I think maybe,
to be fair, he wasn't wrong about the combat being a clusterfuck.
No, of course, it's just a mess, right? You just turn on combat mode and you hope that some of your party is still alive at the end of it all. Because,
and for God's sake, you don't give anyone in your party a Fire Doom staff or a triple crossbow.
Well, you only get, don't give
or do, and watch the hilarity.
Do not give the Fire Doom staff to the AI-controlled character.
Infinity?
Or
Ball
that.
of Infinity?
Yes. Yeah, don't give that to the AI-controlled character. It's fine if the avatar has it. You might take out a couple party members.
So I
did shooting at.
So I did in my playthrough take Spark to see the naked lady in the cave.
Look, a boy's
Mama.
Oh, yeah.
They were supposed to have a kid. That was one of the NPCs that got cut.
Oh boy.
Probably so that. Well, so I had
there would have actually made that a lot less creepy.
That was again. That was another thing. Joe Garrity cheering me up while I was in New Brunswick last year. But that was one thing that he and I found going through some other documents from his collection of stuff was, holy crap, like, here's some stuff that talks about like cut content from Ultima 7, and one of them was they were supposed to have a kid. So there you go. Coming back to games, Linguistic, you been jamming anything?
Yeah, I was reminded that one of my big 3 games turned 20 this week. So as a result, I figured it was a perfect excuse to fire up Morrowind again.
Morrowind, yeah.
Oh, I suck at Morrowind. I could not
get. Nice.
Well, it's everybody's got their Ultima, and several people have their Elder Scrolls. Morrowind is mine.
Well, when it comes to Elder Scrolls, my favorite as far as content and having fun and getting lost in the world was Oblivion, though the one that I actually managed to beat was Skyrim.
See, Oblivion, that just never really clicked with me, and I'm still not sure why. I mean, I gave it a full playthrough. I beat the game, but somehow it just doesn't stick in my mind the way Morrowind does.
Well, I found a character voiced by Sean Bean, so I knew he was going to die.
So true. Although he's actually only died in a minority of the media that he has appeared in. And apparently now he has a no deaths contract in his clause, no deaths clause in his contract.
I mean, I joke, but when I played Oblivion, and again, I've never beaten it, I was like level 30 or 40 fighting wandering bandits in Daedric armor. I had become the champion of the arena, the archmage of the Wizards Guild. I had become the leader of the Fighters Guild. I had become the Grey Fox of the Thieves Guild, of the champion of the Knights of the Nine, and I had never made it to Kvatch yet and done any or closed any of the portals to Oblivion yet. Oh, by the way, I was also the Gorath. So I basically...
That's what we call avoiding the main story as long as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we always do?
No, actually.
Oh.
I'm one of those weird people who tends to blast the main story as quickly as possible my first time around. And then the second time around is when I slow down and go, okay, now that I know what actually happens, let's poke around for a while.
That was the same thing I did, because the first 2 games I ever did for when I was trying to make money streaming, back when I was on YouTube before the adpocalypse ever happened, and I was making literal pennies a day. Well, I'm still making literal pennies a day, but anyhow, my first game I ever streamed was Skyrim, and I did what I called a 100% run through, which was me trying to find every single spot on the map and do every single expansion and every single DLC and blah 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 blah. Well, I tried to also max every skill, which I did. So I ended up having 100, a 100 one-handed skill, 100 heavy armor, 100 enchanting, 100 blacksmithing. By the time I was done, I did 10 basic melee swings on Alduin and killed him easily. And the ending was just so disappointing. But that seems to be the thing with Bethesda open world games these days. Had the same problem with Fallout 4. Is that at a certain point they just stop scaling while you get more powerful.
Fun times.
Is that just like, I guess that's something that's one of the most enjoyable things about an RPG, right? Going through certain areas. I don't know. To me, it's the Gothic playthroughs that kind of cemented that in me. You go to a place, you get killed by a very simple monster, and then you train with a whole bunch of non-combat quests to, get to where you're where you want to be, and then you go and you just destroy everything. So
revenge!
Yeah, I will be avenged. I was gonna say too, as far as like favorite Ultima right now, like I think right now at my age, I'm probably gonna get like lambasted for this. I'm leaning on the original Ultima Underworld as my favorite Ultima these days, just because it's a lot easier for me to get into quickly and play and enjoy myself in that way. I don't know. It's it doesn't demand too much of me. So I don't know.
Who's going to do for that? If it wasn't for Ultima Underworld, we wouldn't have had the Elder Scrolls.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I actually just completed a playthrough of it a couple of weeks ago, kind of to celebrate the 30th anniversary of it, more or less. Just to myself. I don't stream or anything, but like. I got through the whole game, and then I found that patch that hacks mouse look into the game, and I was like, well, that would have been fun. But now I'm playing through Ultima Underworld 2 with that patch, and it's a game changer. I would say it's a better experience playing that than the I think it's Unity based, the Underworld Exporter. That one's okay, but it's just not. It doesn't feel the same. You kind of need that pixely grittiness.
Yeah, in my series playthrough, when I was growing up and playing the games, I played the numbered mainline Ultimas, and I didn't play any of the Splinter games at all growing up. So this playthrough was my first time playing Savage Empire and Martian Dreams and Underworld 1, and I haven't gotten to Underworld 2 yet because it's next after 7. So that's going to be interesting. Would you recommend modding it for a first time ever playing it?
It really depends on what you're looking for. If you want the authentic original experience, that's fine. But I mean, I'll just say this: it feels more like the enhanced edition of System Shock, as far as like, you have a hotkey that switches you from mouse look to cursor freely moving. If you played System Shock Enhanced Edition, it kind of feels like that. And I would not recommend that anybody play System Shock in any other way than Enhanced Edition, because the original version, it's fun once you get the hang of it, but it's a slog to get really to a point where you feel adept at what you're doing. So yeah, if you haven't spent a lot of time with Ultima Underworld 2, I might recommend it.
I mean, certainly my problem with Ultima Underworld, I bounced off of it several times before I finally played it for long enough that I felt like I was having fun playing it. I played the first half an hour of it like 4 times before I finally completely finished the first floor and then went, okay, I get this now. And then I blazed through the rest of the game and it was great. So we'll see.
Yeah, I will say that go ahead.
I've played System Shock 2. I've never played the first System Shock.
Oh, it's a classic. It's on a different level. Like it's I would not put it on the same level as System Shock 2 as far as approachability, but it's different. Like System Shock 2 is more of an actual RPG. The original System Shock is sort of like a shooter, a complex shooter with like inventory. And so, like, I think it paved the way for a lot of like later shooters having inventory systems. There's a lot of Deus Ex in it. Like, there's a lot of like Deus Ex got a lot from System Shock. So yeah, like, I definitely would recommend it. I love both games though. I'm really looking forward to the remake by Night Dive if that comes out. They've said recently in the news that it's basically complete, but they're still working on the console versions and they want to release it all at the same time. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But they're also supposedly releasing the enhanced version of System Shock 2 with that as well, which I don't know. I just haven't seen a whole lot of details on what that is, but I'm excited about all of it. I think it'll be cool.
Nice. And I guess just to round it out, what have I been playing lately? Well, like I say, I finished Mass Effect Andromeda. And I've been doing a lot of gaming on Nintendo actually lately, so playing a bit of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning on that. But then I also got into Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I have been enjoying fairly significantly. And then just on a whim, before I left for Vancouver, actually, I picked up Haven, a little indie game. I mean, you can play it single player, and it's kind of fun. It's meant to be played like you play a boyfriend and girlfriend in the game, and it's, I think, meant to be played like, with your significant other. It kind of seems designed that way. But the idea is, you're this pair of star-crossed lovers who flee their oppressive dystopian homeworld and land on this uncharted, but maybe not as uncharted as you think, planet, and have to start exploring it. And you kind of, the movement in the game is really, really fun because, like, yes, you can walk around and you can flip between which character you're controlling, and then like whoever you're not controlling, if you start walking, will very quickly start sassing you about how slow you're being. Because you can also like lift off the ground and fly. And so the idea is you fly around and you start discovering, unlocking the secrets of this planet. It's a lot of fun. So combat is a little bit JRPG-ish, but also real time. So it's a fun little game. And I have no idea where the story's taking me, but it seems fun. But yeah, just a lot of handheld gaming again.
I saw some footage recently that somebody had coded out a Superman game in Unreal Engine 5.
Ooh,
And it's like
that'd be
literally
alright.
like a third person. It was very like you're flying around very Man of Steel-ish, like just shooting off in different directions. And I was thinking it would be really cool to have a Superman game that is sort of like have like the Microsoft Flight Simulator kind of ethos where you're going to have like a world map type thing. And so it'll be like I guess maybe like Grand Theft Auto, but on a world scale. And as Superman, you can literally zoom off anywhere. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, it'd be really cool to have something real time like that. But I haven't played Microsoft Flight Simulator enough to know how well that works as far as transitioning goes. So I don't know.
For sure. Well, I got to hang it up because it's late here and my wife is almost home and probably will need a snack.
Well, the new Spider-Man is kind of worth your time. It's okay. It's good.
You know what? It was funny actually last night. Like for Lent, she had given up watching pretty much everything. I think she allowed herself like one series. It's like, okay, well, I've seen all of these, but like if I need to watch something, I'll just watch this again. And so, of course, after Easter, she's getting back to watching more stuff, but she hasn't really. She's having trouble actually like getting back into it. Like she looks at this stuff on Netflix. She's like, oh, there's so many new things to check out, but I don't want to get too invested because then I'll just stay awake all night. Yeah, right. Like she doesn't want to like, it's like a lot of this time is like, this is her wind down and she doesn't want to like get invested in something and get wound up. But so last night, we were both just kind of exhausted and I finished putting the kids to bed and I walk into the bedroom and she's like, I can't decide what to watch. So I'm just watching The Heat. And I mean, The Heat is a hard R for the language alone. It's just but it's in spite of that, I find it to be just a genuinely hilarious movie. If you've not checked it out, it stars what's her name now? Hang on, I gotta look her up here. Melissa McCarthy. So Melissa McCarthy is the lead. Sandra Bullock is also there. And essentially, Melissa McCarthy is like a very streetwise, very like very streetwise Boston cop. And Sandra Bullock is like an incredibly uptight, straight-laced FBI agent, and they wind up working the same case together. And hijinks ensue, let's say. It's there's some violence to it, and I mean, just the F-bomb count is enough to rival the best of Joe Pesci. But it's just a stupid, funny movie. And so we wound up watching that last night. But yeah, we do have to check out the new Spider-Man. But we're also actually my eldest, her friend group about a month ago went to see the new Spider. She's the only one in the house who's actually seen the new Spider-Man because a bunch of her friends actually went and saw it in the theater, and then she was like keen to go along. And she comes home and she's like, so there were, she's like walking me through all the plot points. I don't want to go spoilery. She's like, why did all these questions? And I'm just like, okay, so to answer all your questions, we literally have to go back 20 years to the first Spider-Man movie that was made. Well, not the first. There were other ones, but we have to go back 20 years to Spider-Man starring Tobey Maguire and proceed from there. You have 8 movies that you need to watch to get caught up to where you are today. She's looking at me like, what?
Oh man.
But just the so I mean, it's cool that she finally has a stable friend group and they do things like this, like they go hang out at the mall and they go see movies together as a group, and that's awesome for her because she struggled with friendship all her life. But at the same time, she's coming in late, and it's not that we haven't tried to introduce, because Spider-Man, there's parts of the MCU where I don't necessarily feel like letting my kids watch it yet, but the Spider-Man stuff is just good, generally fairly clean fun, and no interest at all. Like I can't get them to watch Star Wars. I can't get them to watch most Marvel stuff. The 13-year-old literally rather watch like Little Mermaid 2. But she went and saw it with her friends, and now she's like, oh, that actually was kind of cool. But that's like, okay, so to understand, to get caught up, you need to Go and watch these other 8-ish movies, and then you will understand where all of that is
Let me
coming
explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up.
from. Yeah, no, I can't even do that. Disney Plus and Netflix, because depending on which Spider-Man you want to watch, you got to flip between streaming services.
True.
So, anyways, I should hang it up. But wow, this was fun. This was good. Nice to get back into this.
I should
Indeed.
too. I've been up since 3 a.m. and it's already 12:30 in the
Hopefully,
morning.
you don't have to get up at 3 a.m.
No, I could sleep until 5. So
Oh, well, there you got that at least. Okay, well,
Testing. Can you hear
hey,
me?
you're back. You're back.
Yay.
Just in time for us to say goodnight, but you are back.
My router decided it wanted to reboot itself.
Nice.
Thanks, Xfinity.
If you want to join the Ultima Dragons, you can do so at udic.org, where you can choose your very own dragon name. You can also find the Ultima Dragons on Facebook. We have a Facebook group there. And you can follow at Ultima Dragons on Twitter, or join them on Discord. And if you're feeling really old school, you can even fire up a Telnet client and check out the Weremount. Hit up the show notes for links to all of these. If you want to participate more directly in the podcast, you can send us an email, or if you're feeling a little bit braver, leave us a voice message in one of 3 places: the podcast website, our Facebook page, or on anchor.fm. And you're also welcome to join us on our Discord server to chat with us, to lurk, or even contribute to podcast recordings when they happen. And again, links in the show notes. If you'd like to support Spam Humbug, you can do so at patreon.com/ultimacodex, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to episodes the day before they go live to the general public. You'll also get access to behind-the-scenes audio when we have some to share, and possibly other interesting content. But we also welcome your moral support. You can like the Ultima series on Facebook, follow at Ultima Codex on Twitter, or leave the podcast a review on iTunes. And you're also welcome to share our episodes with your friends and social media circles. Spam Humbug is a production of the Ultima Codex. You can find show notes online at spamhumbug.com. Thank you for listening, and until next time, be virtuous.